Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with that fun little extra video that I promised. Again, I'm sort of doing this video because there aren't a lot of estate sales or any other sales going on this weekend because of the New Year's holiday and all that sort of stuff. Just like last weekend, we couldn't really do any because everyone was out for Christmas, so there weren't any sales to do. So with that said though, this video, guys, it's me telling you guys the end isn't nigh. So the reason why I say this, guys, is because a lot of people see Christmas time as their big time to get all the sales. You know, Black Friday, it's when the companies are finally in the black. They're finally making money. Up until this point, they lost all their money, you know. That's not really a thing for us online sellers. That is something I've found from my own experience. That is something that I know a lot of other people have experienced from what I've said to other people, what I've conversed with, different lessons, training things that I've paid for this entire business, just to get my foot in the door. All those business things that I paid for was try to figure out FBA, Amazon FBA, which I'm now out of. So technically that money was all wasted, but you get what you paid for, I guess. I don't know. But for me, though, I didn't pay anything for my eBay business stuff that I've learned. That's just stuff I've learned on my own, more or less, because it's something I'm more passionate about than the FBA. I know a lot of you guys are FBA sellers, and I will be addressing that a lot in the time to come in this video, and also in other videos, too, because it's a really popular, and honestly, it's a really good program as well, but it's not for everyone. But with that said, though, this video, guys, it's me telling you that the end isn't nigh. Our big sales are not over, even though Black Friday, even though Christmas is already passed. Those sales are not over. And I'm recording this, guys. I'm looking right now. I'm recording on the 29th. It should be releasing on the 29th later today. And this is going to be just something for you guys to see, something for you guys to enjoy, and something that might be a little bit of a warning, because some of you guys might be like, yeah, it's my first year. I had a great Christmas sales season. Some people get a lot of sales for Christmas. Some people don't. It's not really the end of the world if you don't get all those sales, because what happens for a lot of people is during Christmas, they will get a lot of gift cards to Amazon, to eBay, usually more to Amazon than eBay, but it does happen for eBay as well sometimes, especially if people know that this person likes to, for my example here, if someone knows that someone likes antique books, they probably won't give that person an Amazon gift card because you can't really buy antique books on Amazon. Some people put them up there, they make their own UPC codes, all that sort of stuff. Very complicated, but it's usually eBay only sort of market. But with that said, a lot of the people will be getting all these gift cards. In addition to that, everyone broke the bank buying gifts for everyone else for the last 2 months, basically. So they are finally going to be a little bit more willing to spend something on themselves. And when people are buying stuff for themselves off of a gift card or just with their own money, usually people want to get a good deal. So that is where people turn to eBay, or even for Amazon, they will buy some of the discounted stuff that is leftovers from Christmas. But I'm going to really try to focus on eBay for this video because, again, a lot of us are eBay sellers. This is sort of a channel for eBay sellers, but again, I do address Amazon FBA stuff a lot, so we will be hitting that quite a few times. But with that said, people with their gift cards, with their money, their own money, they like to see their money go a little bit further. So a lot of those people turn to sites like eBay where you can buy used stuff, or maybe someone bought something or got something they didn't want for Christmas, and they're like, well, what am I going to do with this? A lot of people will turn and try to sell that on eBay or something like that. So you'll be getting discounted things that are basically brand new, or some things that are brand new, all that sort of stuff. Even things that are brand new and not even discounted, people will be buying because they have these gift cards, and people don't normally like sitting on gift cards for years and years and years. Part of that, from what I've gathered, part of that is because back in the day, gift cards used to expire. Nowadays, they don't do that as often. I'm sure some still do. But back in the day, that's what happened a lot. So I'm sure that trained people sort of to like spend gift cards as fast as they could. But at the end of the day, a lot of people like moving through their gift cards as fast as they can. So those sales that you didn't get up until now, you might get the first month or the first 2 months of next year, because people have these gift cards that they want to get rid of. They don't want to sit on this money on this gift card that they know they might lose if they hold on to it too long anyways, all that sort of stuff. So what you see for a lot of us online resellers or online sellers is you have a big peak in sales for Black Friday all the way to Christmas, or all the way to like a week until Christmas, just because people don't like buying too close because shipping time, you know. But You'll see that, and then after Christmas, you'll see another spike. It won't be as big of a spike, most likely, as you might have seen for Black Friday, but there is a good chance that you guys will still see quite a few sales. So this is why I say the end is not nigh, because your sales are not over just because Christmas has passed. And in addition to that, I also wanted to say this, guys, as a bit of a warning, because I know some of you guys are probably like, woo, the year's over, I finally get to take a time off or something like that. You don't. That's the thing about online selling, guys. You don't get vacations, really. I mean, you might want to take one, but you'll have to do time off if you're doing eBay, and if you do that, then I got a whole slew of things that I've said in other videos about that one. I think there's another video on the channel, so you guys can look that up yourselves. But there are pros and cons to that. But honestly, with that said, I would not personally be taking time off over the next at least 2 weeks. Personally, I would like to do at least a month or so of not taking any time off from my eBay store, not taking the official time away thing for eBay, because there are people that will be coming to eBay, or if you do Amazon FBA, they will be coming to Amazon to do their extra buying after Christmas, to get rid of those gift cards, to spend that little bit of money for themselves, because they're like, I've done good. I gave my son that BB gun that he wanted from the Christmas story, I don't remember what the BB gun was in that, but you guys know what I'm referencing. And you have all that, and people are spending for themselves once again. So I'm just saying this, again, guys, as a little bit of a warning / a little bit of a, yes, this is something to celebrate, but also maybe dread of, we are not at the end of the sales season. This will continue for a little while longer. Depending on what your niche is, you might see this get extended a little bit longer, or potentially you'll not see it as long. It really depends. It's all over the board, honestly. But with that said, that's all the eBay side of things. Now on to the Amazon FBA side of things. So this is something that I actually learned from one of the training courses that I went through for my Amazon FBA business back when I did that. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions about my Amazon FBA business. I shared little tidbits of it throughout all the different videos that I do, but eventually I probably will do an entire video on it. I think I already did a video saying why I chose eBay over Amazon FBA. I think the thumbnail even looks like this. You guys just look for something that looks like this probably. I got one in one hand, one in the other. But that video, guys, I do address things a little bit, but that's not entirely what this video is about. So back to what this video is about. So for Amazon FBA, when I did my business, I was selling used books on Amazon, which is what I'm sure a lot of you guys do if you are doing Amazon FBA as well. Of course, you guys might be selling other things also, but because this is a book channel, I'm just going to focus on books. So I'm sure a lot of you guys do that, and I'm sure most of you guys are selling almost exclusively used books, or if you have any new books, you're probably saying they're only new, because sometimes Amazon will reach out and be like, hey, where are your invoices? You don't have invoices, so we're going to burn it. And it's like, can you send it back? No, we don't do that. Oh, sad. So I'm sure a lot of you guys say new. I sold quite a few brand new books that were even in their brand new wrappings as like new, or even very good, just to first off give someone a nice, they think they're getting this, you give them this, they'll leave you a good review, but also just because that whole thing with Amazon, it's I'm not gonna let you burn another one of my books. That's not very fun. Or I guess their word is destroy. Ooh. But that's just sort of what that does there. But with that said, when people are buying stuff for Christmas, generally they will buy dominantly brand new things. No one wants to buy a used toy for their kid for Christmas, because that toy might have some drool on it. And that is sort of the same way with books. I mean, if you're buying someone books for Christmas, with the exception of, with the exception of mass market paperbacks, generally people are going to be buying everyone brand new books for Christmas. For me, I find that mass market paperbacks generally do pretty well for Christmas, because everyone's like, hey, so my grandma, she loves these Louis L'Amour books. I mean, she just adores them. And do you have any of them? Oh, I have this many. Oh, can I buy all of them? Because people love giving these books, and they don't really make these books in mass market paperbacks anymore. So that's just a rough example. And yes, I have a ton of mass market paperbacks right behind me right now, because I'm in the middle of listing all those, relisting them as the end of an experiment, which I think I mentioned in a previous video. But with that said, I do see mass market paperbacks. People will gift those for Christmas, because you can just get such a good volume of books, and people love giving big whale readers, they call them, a large volume of books. That way the person has hours of entertainment, as opposed to, for me, I sell 10 books, 20 books for $10. it's a pretty stinking good deal. I mean, otherwise you're spending that much money to buy 1 or 2 books. So because of that, people do like buying these mass market paperbacks. So that's one of the reasons why I got into them. But again, most of the reason for why I did was to get ready for the recession, depression, whatever we're getting into. But with that said, though, guys, generally, though, besides the mass market paperbacks, people will be buying dominantly new books for their loved ones for Christmas and all that sort of stuff. Yes, there are some people that buy used books. In fact, because I deal in antique books, which are technically used books, I did see a nice uptick of my higher end books. Not my highest end books, but more the higher end of what I've been seeing sell these past, I'd say, 8 months since the recession fears really started going up a few notches. But people were buying these nicer antique ones for their loved ones, and yes, those are used ones. So again, that's another exception to the rule. But again, it's sort of beside the point. So with all that said, most people buy nicer books for Christmas, and then once Christmas passes, I'm finally getting there, guys. Once Christmas passes, people will be buying the lamer, sort of torn up books for themselves because they know, hey, I'm just going to read this book once, I'm going to read it, and then I might even throw it away if it's bad enough book. So that's why you see people buy those acceptable books on Amazon every now and then. It's like, well, all I need is the info once and I'm good, you know. And then you'll have people buy the very good books, the good books, all that sort of stuff also for themselves because it makes their dollar go a little bit further, which is, for a lot of people, it's something that's very important. Like for me, I personally do not buy books that are acceptable condition because first off, I want all the pages in the book, but also I like keeping all the books I read. It looks nice on my bookshelf that I have over my room. I'm indicating towards that. I like having all the books that I've ever read, or as many as I can have that I've ever read, because it's like, oh, have I read that book before? I think I did. Let me check my shelf. Oh, yes, I read that one. For me, I like having it sort of as reference. And then also if I have a friend ever be like, hey, what book do you like? And I'll be like, oh, here's this one. You can borrow it, you know, that sort of stuff. Of course, we all know if you let people borrow books, you don't get them back all the time. Sad face, but, you know. But with that said, though, if you sell on Amazon FBA, you will probably see a very nice uptick in your sales. For me, when I did my Amazon FBA business, guys, let me tell you, my after Christmas sales season was insane. Like, I think mine actually was on par with my Black Friday sales, which was very, very nice. I was very happy to see that much sales, especially on my first year, because when I first started all of my book businesses, I believe I started end of August or beginning of September, somewhere in there. And I started that, I don't know what year, but I did very, very well in my first few months. And then I was thinking, because I hadn't really gone through everything yet, I was thinking, okay, Christmas season's done, my sales are done. That means I get to basically just buy all the books I can from now on and get ready for the next Christmas season, because at that point I hadn't been doing the business long enough to know that book sales are rather steady the entire year. I know I've mentioned this in other videos, and I know that me mentioning the entire Christmas rush sort of thing makes you think that it ticks up in a huge way for Christmas time, but at the end of the day, I sort of find that my sales are rather flat the entire year. In fact, do I have... Oh, it's too far away. I'm going to draw a little graph for you guys. So, January and December, and I'm just drawing a little line graph for you guys. So, time, sales. Sorry, this is a little bit boring. I wasn't planning on doing this. Let me just thicken up that line a little bit for you guys. Alright, so guys, this is sort of what I found and have found my sales are sort of like for online book selling. It does generally tick up a little bit at the beginning of the year because of that after Christmas rush. It sort of declines. Sometimes it declines a little sharper, sometimes it's a little flatter. It doesn't really matter, but generally it declines towards the summertime, and then after you have the summertime going into the fall, it starts ticking back up until you, of course, you hit December. That is the Christmas rush, and then you will see it go back to January, and you basically go through that same sort of thing over and over and over again. And the reasoning for why I personally think, and why quite a few other people, just a sidebar, you guys know how I write books. This is something that I've actually learned from the author communities that I write my books in. No one really mentioned these market dynamics the same way in the reselling community, and because of that, I strongly suspect it's because it's not quite 100% the same way, but there is definitely some truth behind it, even though I'm a reseller and an author. There's truth behind this graph in both camps. So with that said, though, guys, I'm going to hold it up again just so you guys can really get a good look at it. It's not a beautiful graph, so I'm not really going to show you too much. But once again, though, guys, what I have heard from the author community on why this graph sort of happens is because as you near summertime, a lot of people won't be reading books during the summer. Like, I know there are a lot of us who love reading books and will read a book the entire year, at least have one book on hand all of the time. We'll go on vacation and we'll bring like 7 books because it's like, well, you never know. I know I won't finish this many, but what if, what if the world ends and I need to finish 5 books, So, yes, there are quite a few of us that are big readers that will read about the same amount all the way through the year, but there are quite a few people who will read books almost exclusively during the fall, winter, spring, and that is because it's not great weather outside. They don't have a lot of family events going on, so they're just stuck at home watching it rain, and they're like, well, I might as well read a book and read something cool, read something entertaining, read something that might make me feel a little bit warmer inside than it is outside. Quick sidebar, guys, stinking last week it was like in the low teens, might have even dropped below that. The wind chill factor, with the wind chill factor, it was like -3 degrees, and that's all Fahrenheit, guys, for me, so it was rather chilly, so that was not lovely. And then I was hoping to record some extra videos this week, but I just couldn't because power outages were like wee woo wee woo wee woo. Plus I live in the Portland metro area. I live outside of Portland because Portland's lame. Cough cough. I live in Gresham, guys, and that's just sort of our thing. We always make fun of Portland. We did it before it was cool, but around where I live, there's actually been domestic terrorists that have been attacking all the different substations for electricity, too, so we have that to deal with. Yay! So, all that sort of stuff. So power is a little bit weird right now, but hoping it'll last through this entire video. But with that said, there is a lot of different things going on with the book sales, all that sort of stuff, and I'm sorry for that total sidebar there. I'm sure I was going on something and I totally forgot. I'm sorry. But with that said, though, the entire thing about buying books, all that sort of stuff, some of us will want it to be warmer in our little books, that sort of stuff, as I was saying. And because of that, you will see a lot more people reading their books during the spring, fall, winter, and because of that, that is usually why you see more sales during that time. It's not just the Christmas rush, it's not just people buying stuff with their gift cards, it's also people buying things for themselves, for their friends, all that sort of stuff, because those people will be reading more at that time of year, because again, during the summer you have other things to do. You have the sun to go out and play in, you can go to the beach, you can do all these things, whereas, again, guys, I live in Oregon, so it can get rather chilly, so like our beach, there's like a running joke for like everyone here. I can't remember the joke exactly, but it's something along the lines of we have like 2 sunny, warm days at the beach for the entire year in Oregon because it is always cold, wet, and windy as everything. Guys, like, as an Oregonian, so Oregon, there is like the French word for windy is pronounced sort of like Oregon, so that's like one of the theories on where Oregon got its name. People aren't entirely sure. Some people say it's the natives, some this, but several different theories on where Oregon got its name is literally from wind, like typhoon-like winds, and that is because I live just near something called the Gorge, which is just that direction a little bit. And guys, the winds that you have there, I used to live up at one of the windiest parts, and we'd have like over 100-mile-an-hour winds, like it was not special whatsoever. It was like, oh, look, it's 115 again today. Whoa. So when people talk about hurricanes and like, oh, this is the winds we have, well, I'm just sitting here as an Oregonian, and I'm like, and you're scared? That's a good day for us, my friend. So that's just my thing. I always think that's a little bit funny. But with that said, Oregon beach. So windy is everything at the beach. So we never have the sunny days anyways. But if you guys live somewhere that isn't cold and windy and terrible a lot of the time, you probably will enjoy your summers a whole lot more than us in Oregon. Like, yes, us Oregonians, we enjoy summer if it's like over 60 degrees. That's a good summer day. So, I mean, if you guys are afraid of a new ice age, come to Oregon. It's ice age all the time. I'm sort of joking, sort of not there. In fact, guys, so you know how I mentioned how this was in a post that I did on my YouTube page. I mentioned that I sold a book to the town that I'm trying to move to. My dad actually pulled up the weather for that town for this next 10 days, and we ran the numbers, and it has over 2 feet of snow coming in the next 10 days. It's like, oh wow, I thought it was cold and snowy here sometimes. Man, that's gonna be, whew. I like snow, but do I like snow that much? You know, it's like those things that you're just like, reality check. Whew. I mean, it doesn't really scare me off because all the other things I want to do in that town. But with that said, total aside, once again, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going all over the board. It's sort of like a Christmas special, you know? I mean, I'm trying to address everything. But back to what I was saying. Sales, everyone's reading for Christmas, spring, fall. And because of that, the sales do go down in summertime. That is something that I have seen in my own business. Usually I find that was bigger on my Amazon FBA business, where I sold newer books. So like books from the past, let's see, 1970s is when they ran ISBN numbers. So books from the past 50 years is what I'd be selling on Amazon. Generally, my stuff was more like from the last 30 years. Most of my sales generally, guys, for my Amazon FBA business were from the 1990s and newer. The reason for that, I suspect, is because those books are still new to a lot more people. People hear about a book from the 1980s and they're just like, yeah, but is the content still new? Is it still worth reading? That sort of stuff. So people generally like reading newer books. So with that said, a lot of the sales that I'd get, I honestly would say probably 70% of what I'd sell on Amazon FBA would be books that were even like less than, say, 5 years old, stuff like that. That was just my own experiences. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you guys have your own experiences, and of course that's also very rough numbers because I have not done Amazon FBA for several years. However, with that said, my little graph here, my beautiful graph, I would see that seasonality in sales where it dips down in the summer. I would see that quite often on my Amazon FBA business. And guys, I know someone's going to be like, oh, but you didn't do it on a big scale. Your data's skewed, all that sort of stuff. I would hear that all the time. Guys, the Amazon seller community, they have their own community tab where you can chat with all these other people. Man, there was so much hatred from so many people, and oh, but you're not a big seller. I mean, they didn't say that to me because I didn't really say anything on that, but so many people always commented on it. I always thought it was so funny. But with that said, a lot of people said that, oh, since you're not big, your data's skewed, all that sort of stuff. I was not a small seller whatsoever. I had tens of thousands of books, I'd say, listed on my Amazon seller store. So when I finally started closing that down, guys, I sent so many books to be destroyed or destroyed by Amazon, which was very sad. Of course, let me preface, I didn't send them all. I did these huge discount sales on my store and moved almost my entire store out, but there were a few books that I had to have destroyed, which is very sad. But they were new books, they weren't antique books, so I don't feel as bad because I know for a fact there's tens of thousands of those books still out everywhere else. So not nearly as sad, but still sad, and it was wasted money sort of, but I didn't want to keep paying those long-term storage fees for some of those books because a lot of those books were longer tail ones that weren't going to move very soon. Anywho's, most of the books that I had for my Amazon FBA store, I would send in the massive old box, send them all in, have them all scanned in, and so many of those books would sell within a few hours of showing up, or not even a few hours of showing up on the Amazon store, which was amazing. And now I'm doing eBay, on my own, and it's wow, I'm hanging on to these books for 9 months, as an average roughly, it's whew, this is rough. Probably less than 9 months. Just rough numbers, so it doesn't matter. But with that said, that's the Amazon FBA sort of thing that I saw, that a lot of other people saw, is you do have the downtick into summer. And again, that's because a lot of people aren't reading as many books because, again, everyone's enjoying their summers. So that's what I saw with Amazon. All that was Amazon. eBay, if you guys do antique books, what I have found is antique book sales, except for when you have a recession, depression, all whatever's going on, generally it's rather flat. How many sales you're getting? Yes, I have had times where I have an uptick for the Christmas time, but generally it is rather flat. In fact, the last however many years I've been doing it, it has been quite flat. It's actually very soothing for me. I'm not the most anxious person out there. In fact, I wouldn't say I'm anxious whatsoever, but it is very soothing having those consistent sales all the time. And for me, with my antique book business, those sales have been steady as everything, and it's just very nice to be oh, yep, collecting the same paycheck all the time. And I don't get a paycheck because I work for myself, so it'd be dumb to do it that way, but but with that said, sales have been very flat. Now that we're entering whatever we're entering for the economic downturn, I have seen a lot more of a dip on my collectibles, my antique books, all that sort of stuff. which does really stink. Again, I'm not the most anxious person, so I'm not worried about it whatsoever. In fact, I have quite a few other businesses to rely on, so again, not too worried about it whatsoever. But generally, from my eBay sales, that is about flat all the way through the entire year. Of course, again, that's because I focus on antique books. Of course, I've also mentioned that I'm getting into other things like the mass market paperbacks I told you guys about that are right behind me. The cookbooks that I have, still quite a few of, right over there. I mean, I do have a lot of other books that aren't antiques anymore that I have been getting into just because of me preparing for the crash to come, or the crash that's already happening, however you want to say it. But besides that, my antique book business, it has really been hit pretty hard with the crash. It is rather sad to see. I still do sell quite a few antiques, but it is very sad to see because the seasonality, I mean, it went from basically flat all the time to about like 8 months ago, guys. It just, and definitely didn't hit zero, but it's just like, oh wow, that's painful. Like, if I was starting my entire business just now, guys, I would actually be very nervous. I would think, maybe I can't go out and do this on my own. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I can't do this. Whereas, I think I've mentioned this in other videos, in my first few months of doing the entire book business, which was eBay and Amazon FBA, I did well over 50K in sales, which was like astounding, especially for someone that only put in, I want to say I only started the business with like $1,500, maybe a little bit more, but not a whole lot of money. So turning that into over 50K in sales so quick, it was like, oh wow, this is pretty dandy. I'm happy now. So like for me, I definitely got in at a very good time. If I was starting brand new, I would be a little bit more nervous. Yes, I'm still getting quite a few sales. My average sales price, guys, it has plummeted down from like about 45 or 75. I don't remember what it was a few months ago. I told you guys in another video, so fact check me on that if you want. I don't care. It was between 45 and, no, it was around 75 now that I think about it. My new floor that I did was 45. There we go. Sorry. But my average sales price went from 75, I got it now, down to right now it's about $25, guys, per sale that I do, which is just, if I was an anxious person, guys, I would be absolutely gutted, because that is some huge declines in sales. Well, not sales, in profit per item. Again, guys, I've mentioned this in other videos. My sales have not declined. My actual sales money that I get to bring in, my profits, has actually increased because I did pivot just at the right time, basically, for the more recession-proof sort of things. In addition to that, I've also just been listing a whole lot more stuff this past few months. In fact, the past 2 years almost, I've done a lot more listing just to get ready for the gold mine that I've told you guys I'm working on starting. And I've had a lot of you guys mention the gold mine thing, or I've mentioned it to you guys, and you're like, oh, I'd love to see you transition into that. I'm going to hate seeing you go, all that sort of stuff. And guys, let me just say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay. I'm going to continue making these videos because the antique book business, guys, it is a huge passion of mine. And in addition to that, it also helps pay the bills too. Hear me out. I have bills, believe it or not. I'm a human. Wow. But I do have to continue doing this business for monetary reasons. I know when I get the gold mine going, it might not be the biggest monetary reward for me. But honestly, guys, these books, all the antique books over there, I mean, it is a passion project, guys. I mean, I just love all these antique books. I mean, it's something I always have loved. It's something I always will love. And it's just really fun to go out and save all these books. It's fun to go on those little adventures to the middle of stinking nowhere and be like, hey, so I drove here from here for 5 hours to get here, and I am buying one book from you. But it's a good book, so it's okay, you know, like, that's just something that's very fun. It's the risk that you're taking sometimes for these long drives. Like, you're putting out, say, $100 to get to a place, and sometimes you end up breaking even. Sometimes you end up making a ton of money on you. Ton of money for your time invested. It's very nice when that happens. Personally, I have never had a trip that I lost money, which is, I'm blessed. Thank you, Lord, for that. But I'm sure there are people out there. I'm sure if I did this enough times, I mean, I've already done it, like, let me just, conservative thought right now, probably over 300 trips over the years. Definitely over 200 trips, I'd say, over the years, though. Driving out all these different places, some really far away, some not so far away, all that sort of stuff. But I've definitely gone enough. No, I'm going to say 300 trips that I've done. that seems conservative. But I've done all these different travels. I have yet to have any trip that was a loss for me, which is very nice. With that said, though, another aside. Man, I'm doing asides all over the place, guys. This one's crazy. But with that said, though, guys, so I mentioned already that I am doing almost exclusively eBay now. So with that said, I'm just going to grab a random... not the right random cookbook. Excuse me. Please have a barcode. Okay, let's pretend it has a barcode. I'm sure it does somewhere. But, guys, so I sell these antique books, and I sell these new books. So, new books, antique books. And when I started with eBay, guys, it was so easy. Sorry, when I started selling books in general. Sorry. When I started, it was very easy to come out with a profit because I would be buying these books here and sell these ones on eBay sell them on Amazon or sometimes eBay, and I would do that quite often, and because of that, I'd be buying a huge volume in books, and yeah, I might only get like $1 or $2 on this book if I sell it on Amazon through Amazon Fulfilled FBA, so yeah, the profits aren't huge, but it's basically guaranteed profits, whereas with this one, I would be selling out on eBay, I might make $40, but I'm hanging on to it a whole lot longer, whereas this one on Amazon might sell a whole lot faster, all that sort of stuff, and because I was buying such a large volume of books, I mean, I'm talking about buying at one sale. When I was doing eBay and Amazon FBA, I would be clearing out some of these different Friends of the Library sales, whatnot. In fact, some of these towns that I went out to, because as I've said in other videos, another aside. So, guys, when I do my book buying trips, when I do stuff near Portland, within a few miles of downtown Portland, there are quite a few other resellers who go out, they buy all the other books, and they take all the best deals, for themselves, for whoever they work for, all that sort of stuff. But when I go out to the middle of nowhere or to small towns or stuff like that, I am usually the only seller there. So when I show up, sometimes I'm the only seller that's ever been to some of these places. And some of these places, they have years old inventory. So sometimes I went in and I literally cleared out over half of what they had. And by over half, guys, I mean these are sales that are like a few thousand books. So I would go in and I'd buy a few thousand books from some of these different sales, and I would throw them all onto eBay. I'd throw almost all of them onto Amazon FBA because it's just a lot easier to list those, because for me, I take all my own photos. I take several photos of my eBay books. I write good descriptions, all that sort of stuff, because I'm dealing with higher end books usually, whereas with Amazon, it was basically just look at it, looks like very good, okay, very good sticker, and you're done. And then you ship it off and you're done and you don't touch it again. So it's a lot easier to sell a volume there, whereas with eBay, it's not. So, excuse me, scratching my nose. But with that said, all of that is said, it was a lot easier for me to make a lot of money. Back when I did that with Amazon and eBay, it was almost guaranteed for me to always make a profit on these books, on these book buying trips, because when you're buying that many books, guys, like for the newer books, it was $2, $2, $2, $2, $2, all profit for those. And then you had the eBay books where it was like, okay, $300 in eBay of profit. And then for Amazon, because you're buying the huge volume of books, it's like, okay, in Amazon's $800 profit. Yes, it's less profit per item, whereas with the eBay books, it's like 90% profit, where in those it's only like 10%, just very rough numbers. It's not including fees, just very, very rough numbers. Don't hate me, but the profitability was very easy to do on those trips because of just the volume that I could do on Amazon. Now that I'm doing almost exclusively eBay with a lot lower volume, it is definitely a lot harder to always make money on these trips. I've had quite a few trips where I'm like, I look around. In fact, I recently did a trip to Eastern Oregon. I hit this one sale, and guys, it would have been a loss for me. It would have been my first loss, actually, if I had not been like, okay, I'm going to swallow my own pride, and I'm going to buy like these 20 books here that I can only make $10 profit on a piece, because again, I've just been spoiled with my eBay profits of like each book would do like $40 profit or so, and because of that one trip, I was like, ooh, big poop. And the reason why that one trip wasn't as profitable as it could have been was because they had a COVID lockdown thing on one of the book sales, so that really hurt, because that was actually one of the best book sales that I've been to, definitely the top 5, I'd say. and they'd closed it down, and I'd driven all the way out there only to find out when I got there that they closed it down a couple hours ago before I got there. It was like, ooh, big pain. Luckily, there's one spot left that I was going to hit, because I always try to hit multiple places on my different trips, because it just increases the odds of me profiting on that trip. And in addition to that, I'm a bit of a prepper, so I always like to make sure that I have the bases covered for as many things as I can. As the saying goes, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So for me, I always try to make sure that I have a ton of different places to hit, and if I need to hit those places, I have them set aside. I have them planned to hit. That way I never lose money on my trips. And I have an entire playlist, guys, on how to plan your first book buying trip, which honestly works for any other book buying trip besides that, but the lesson is mostly for your first one, because when you're brand new to it, you want to really know how to do it. But with that said, not really the point of this video. So back to what I was saying, profitability. So guys, now that I do just eBay, it is a little bit harder to profit all the time, because I've been so stinking picky with my books. And since I'm so picky, yes, sometimes I do have quite a few trips that are just outstanding profits, like the one trip that I've told you guys about. In fact, I have a video that I hope to be making soon. I took a lot of photos of this place, but I have this one that I've told you guys about quite a few times, where I bought like over 1,000 books probably. That one, after everything's said and done, I know for a fact I will profit, not revenue, profit at least $15,000, probably more, but just conservative, $15,000, just from this one trip. And I spent just a hair over $1,000 for it, and it was just in town basically, which was so stupid nice. And yeah, I did 2 trips to do it, but one of the best sales that I've done for a long while. But with that said, sometimes there are the trips that you break even, sometimes there are the trips that you just barely profit, all that sort of stuff. So that is something to keep in mind with your whole business. So with all that said though, back to the original point of this entire video. Guys, just because Christmas is over, it does not mean that your sales are dead. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to go on vacation just yet. Personally, if I was doing a vacation, I would wait until the summer to do my vacations. Not only because the weather would be nicer wherever I'm going, but largely because that is when my sales, from my own experience, sort of taper off just enough to make it worthwhile to maybe go on vacation and not cause too much harm. That said, because I do the antique books, because of how my business runs on eBay, I will end up missing out on sales basically no matter what time of the year that I go out and do whatever I do if I'm doing time away, because guys, my sales are, again, rather steady. Even with the major crash that we're seeing go on right now in the economy, even with my sales taking the nosedive because of that giant decline and all the pain, all that stuff going on, I still have rather consistent sales. I'm getting some of my best sales figures, and that isn't just because I pivoted into the newer books. Again, I'm motioning towards the mass market paperbacks and whatnot. It isn't just because of that. It's because this is a very robust business model. One of the reasons that I got into the book business in general when I first started this, one of the reasons why I started writing my own books in the beginning, was because book selling and book sales in general are rather robust. They do well through the recessions and through the good times. Of course, the good times are normally better than the crashes, but even in the Great Depression, you saw a lot of book sales going on, and that is because, I've said this in other videos, that is because people like to learn new things. So if you write new nonfiction, people are trying to learn how to better themselves, and they try to better themselves in the good times and in the bad. And for fiction, which is what I write, actually I wrote some nonfiction too, but fiction, though, guys, people want to escape reality. It doesn't matter if the economy's good or bad. If times are good, of course, they might be escaping reality just for fun. But if times are bad, it might be because they've lost their job and they just want to get away from it all for a little bit and read something fun, you know? So because of that, there's always going to be book sales. In fact, historically, I don't have charts on it. Honestly, I might get charts on it eventually. I have some plans for some interesting videos in the future on the entire book market. But right now, I guess you're just going to have to trust me. Trust me that I've done my research. I've done a lot of research, guys. I am a research guy. I research 10 steps ahead. That way I can take 1 step ahead. That's sort of how I do it. You know, the entire thing, oh, take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that sort of thing. I plan 10 steps forward so I can take 1 step forward. And then I don't have to take a step back because I'm ready. I make sure I always have options open, 1,000 options, 1,000 escape routes, whatever. But with that said, though, guys, when you are doing your business, the reason why I'm doing this entire channel on books is because I think books is one of the most robust markets. I would personally say that used clothing is probably another one that's pretty good. I think used clothing's a little oversaturated. That's just my own opinion. It's the opinion that I've heard from other people as well. But for me, I think clothing's a little oversaturated. But it still would be a rather robust market because there's people during the good times who want to buy used clothes because they are frugal. But then in the bad times, people want to buy the used clothes because it makes their dollar go a little bit further. And with that said, onto the book market side of things, people are buying used books to make their dollar go a little bit further, but people are buying books in general because, again, they want the escapism, they want the self-improvement, that sort of thing. And historically, through every single market crash, people still buy books. And I know that might sound like, oh, but they don't really do that anymore because, look, Borders went out of business. That's proof that the book business is dead. But in reality, guys, oh, and another thing, with the ebooks taking over, all that sort of stuff, audiobooks, all that thing, there are still studies going out, research pieces going out, and people have found that the amount of book sales, I want to say they lost like 30 or 40% when ebooks first started coming out in the first few years after that. But now that they have sort of been out longer, people have found that the amount of print book sales, so that's paperback, hardback, all that sort of stuff, that has actually held steady and actually has continued increasing because as the population of the world grows, that's more readers being born, and they have not been able to actually nail down and statistically prove that there has been a loss in paperback sales or hardbook sales beyond that initial gap. I know people are saying ebooks are here, books are dead forever, but they're not. They're still increasing, guys. In fact, it might look better this way if that's how eBay works, but sorry, if that's how YouTube works for the video, I don't know. But upwards, that's what matters. Book sales are still going up, guys. That is a statistical fact that has been proven by quite a few different research institutes that are running these numbers. In addition to that, you can just hop on Amazon yourself and see how many books are being sold. Oh man, I wish I remembered this off the top of my head, but I do not. But there are different tools that you can purchase. They used to be for free, but now you can purchase them for Amazon, and you can actually see how often specific books sell, and that sort of stuff. It plays with the sales rank, all that sort of stuff. But there are like 1,000,005 things, guys, of basically just showing you how book sales are not declining whatsoever, which is something that's very encouraging for the future of this business. Again, ebooks came out and everyone's like, oh, book businesses are over. If you're selling books, you are a dinosaur, you're going to die. That's not the fact. In fact, other studies that I've seen have actually referenced Gen Z, which is what I am. Gen Z is like the late 90s up to early 2000s of kids that were born. That group of kids, a lot of them actually were like allergic to electronics at this point because we spend so much time on electronics in our social life. You know, we're like calling our friends, texting our friends, posting on the Facebooks and whatnot. You know, actually, I guess if I'm supposed to be actually Gen Z, I'm supposed to be on Instagram and all that. But I don't care. I'm not downloading another social media app. But a lot of us kids around my age, we actually have gotten like so saturated with electronics that we actually actively try to avoid ways to do things on electronics. Like a lot of us, like our families that are older than us might be more tech inclined because we like try to avoid it so much. There are actually studies coming out now on like my generation being less tech savvy than millennials, because millennials, they aren't nearly as allergic to electronics from being like so overstimulated by it. So with that said, because of that, a lot of kids my age, we actually go after the audiobooks or the paper books because we don't want to look at a screen any longer to read a book. That is something that there are actually studies on. In addition to that, people like reading actual paper books before they go to bed because the blue light and all that sort of stuff off of a screen, people have done studies and they find that that actually keeps you up and makes it so you don't sleep as well. So people have turned to reading just actual paper books again for that reason as well. So there's 1,000,005 reasons why paperback books and hardback books are going to continue being sold, but that's not really, again, the point of this video. It's just interesting sidebar, sort of like a nice relief of the end is not nigh for the book business either. Yes, our sales are continuing for the year, but we are also going to see a continuation and increase in book sales for decades to come, honestly, probably centuries to come, but I'm not predicting that far out because the world might be over by then, because you never know. Especially with how many times Santa has not come. Is Santa not real, guys? No, I'm kidding. But with that said, guys, there is just so much to do with your book businesses. Again, I find that my sales increase after Christmas. Again, because my eBay business is rather flat all the time, except for around the holidays. It does tick up a little bit, and in the summer it does tick down a little bit. Not nearly as extreme as this little graph, but that is something I do see a little bit of. But because of that, I will not be taking a vacation anytime soon. And honestly, I don't know if you guys should either. Not telling you how to live your life whatsoever, but I am telling you that there might be sales you miss out on if you do prematurely take some time off. Of course, yes, some people do need breaks. We all need Sabbath, all that sort of stuff, but there is a time and a place for everything. So with all of that said now, I also wanted to sort of finish this video off, guys, with saying this channel is officially 1 year and 1 day old. Yesterday was this channel's birthday. I sort of wanted to do a video for it, but I was in the midst of editing a book, working on finishing a book, that sort of stuff. So I'm busy on that side of things, so I was too busy to really make a video on it. I did make a post, but I'm very happy to say, guys, that this channel has been around for just over a year now. It's very cool to think that it has been. When I first made the channel, I was... So, actually, quick aside, guys. You know how I say that I run all these different businesses? That way I can diversify my income, passive income, all that sort of stuff. Cough, cough, passive income isn't actually passive. But this is one of the different businesses that I've tried to start. In fact, I'm still in the midst of starting it. For me, I am not like a lot of kids my age of, well, I have to have instant gratification, da-da-da-da-da. I am someone that, like, I have projects going right now that I will not see the completion of for at least 20 years. I plan out quite far ahead. I start getting the ball rolling. That way I can build that snowball. That way it's a critical mass by the time I'm going in the big way. So with that said, this is one of those businesses that I'm starting. One of the things that I always like to do is I like to challenge myself in the biggest way possible. So one of the different businesses that I have is blogging, all that sort of stuff. And part of blogging is YouTube. And I personally wanted to test out the entire YouTube system as best I could. So I was like, okay, what is the most niche, hard to do sort of thing that I can do for a YouTube channel that I can really test my own skill, that I can really do this and this and this, I can really push myself for. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take to YouTube my antique book business because I can guarantee that it's going to be stupid hard to build. I was telling myself there are not a lot of people, there's no one out there that is watching YouTube and wants to learn about antique books. And guys, I will admit that I have been proven wrong. Of course, I'm not at 1,000 subscribers yet. I have to hit 1,000 subscribers before I can make ads on this, can start doing ads on this platform. And once I can start doing ads, this business will finally start making me money, which will be very nice because I have a camera to pay for, I have a microphone, I have all the other stuff that I got going to pay for this business. But again, I do everything for the long term, so I'm not too stressed about that. But it will be definitely nice to see when that happens. Based on the numbers that I'm seeing from you guys, from how many subscribers I've gotten, my initial thesis of this is going to be really stupid hard to do has been proven very much wrong. No, again, I'm not monetized yet. A lot of people would have quit by now because, again, kids my age, we want instant gratification. We want to make a YouTube channel and already be viral. And yeah, I'm not there. I will admit it. I'm perfectly fine with that, honestly, because again, I'm not playing the short game. I'm playing the long game. That's why I have videos coming out one a week as opposed to 500,000 videos in 2 weeks, you know? Like, I want to make sure that I'm slowly building things because slow building helps increase stability. It decreases fragility, and in addition to all that, it teaches a better lesson. Whereas instant gratification, that just builds up your ego, and a built-up ego does not serve anyone. In fact, it just serves to defeat you in the long run. So with all that said, thank you guys for this good year. I was sort of hoping to finish the year with 500 subscribers. Yes, I mean, my biggest hope was to be monetized and have like 1 million subscribers and 6 million views, you know, and have $6 billion coming in and be $100 million. Sorry, that's a Bedtime Stories reference. $100 million, you know. You guys have to watch Bedtime Stories if you haven't. It's one of the few good Adam Sandler movies. There's not a lot of them, guys, but mostly because they're inappropriate. But with that said, guys, there is a lot to do with your own businesses. For me, as I said, I like doing stuff for the long run. I like slowly building it up to things. So for me, with my business, when I found out how steady book sales could be, it was very nice, because steady sales means consistency. It means that I can slowly build up to things, all that sort of stuff. That is something that I really love with this business. And it seems that YouTube is giving me that slow and steady growth as well, which is very nice to see. In fact, I just love when you guys reach out or comment and that sort of stuff and are like, hey, thank you so much for this. I just got into this business. It is serving me so well. It's getting me all this money. It's helping me fulfill my dream, all that sort of stuff. I love seeing those comments, guys. This channel, honestly, I made it mostly for brand new people who are just trying to find a side hustle. And I also made this channel because last year, I knew that we had a recession coming, a crash coming, all that sort of stuff, because I study economics. That's like my main area of things that I study, because all the other businesses that I run, I'll go into that eventually sometime in the future, maybe. But because I was doing all this research, I knew, hey, so if we're going into a crash, what's going to help people the most is telling them how to run their own business, tell them how to help meet the bills. So honestly, I expect this channel to continue growing for quite a long time to come, because it is giving the entry-level content for people to really learn how to start their business the best way possible. So many other people, they have some programs to show you how to start your eBay business, but you have to pay $500 up front. I wanted to have a business that people could start for like $50 and less. In fact, I will be doing several of their videos, hopefully soon, on how to do that for those of you that haven't done it yet. And for those of you that have been doing it, I can guarantee there will be some good tidbits in those videos, because learning how to shoestring your budget, shoestring your business, you know, it's a really nice thing to do, just to really instill frugality. And I believe Jeff Bezos actually just recently did an interview, and I believe it was him, and whoever this interviewer was, I believe it was Jeff Bezos, so said that one of the best things that you can do to constrain yourself, to force yourself to do better, is give yourself tight budgets, to give yourself that shoestring budget. And that way it forces you to be more creative, forces you to think outside the box. And once you do that, you are able to do much greater things. Like if you have $6 billion to throw towards something, yeah, you'll get the job done, but you won't do it the best way. You won't be the most effective. You won't do the most fantastic things. Whereas if you're doing something for $500, you're going to really push yourself. You're going to like try to think. You're going to do all the research you can to make sure it's perfect, and then you're going to figure out new ways to do it. So just as a very rough example, let's think about Elon Musk. He has his SpaceX, whereas we have NASA. I believe NASA, their new rocket takes like $2 billion per launch, and Musk's takes like, I want to say 100 million. Very rough number on that one. And this one, it was roughly 2 billion though. So like, they have all the money in the world, and they're wasting all the money in the world. Whereas Musk, who has his own company, he learned how to reuse these rockets, make them land properly, all these sorts of things. And yes, I know he wasn't the first one to do all these different things, but he's sort of perfected it. Sort of like how Edison, he wasn't the first one to do everything, but he sort of perfected it in a lot of different ways. Henry Ford is another example of that. And no, I'm not some Musk cult member. In fact, if anyone's a cult member of anything, I'm usually a lot more fishy. Like, there are so many things nowadays, like cough, cough, cryptocurrency. Guys, that's a cult. That is a big cult. I'm going to get shot. Oh, sniper. Ah! But with that said, no, I'm not a cult member for Musk, but there is a lot of stuff that guy's done that does sort of show the entire thing of, guys, if you really constrain yourself, if you tell yourself you can only spend so much per your rocket launch. You know, you won't be spending $2 billion plus for a launch. And of course, I know they say they can spend more, but they have spent a lot. Sorry, they can spend less, but they have spent a whole lot more for their launch on that thing. And that launch for that rocket, the SLS, is insanely over budget and a lot longer than it was supposed to be. So another thing, back to the entire thing about shoestring budget, it really teaches you frugality and responsibility, honestly, guys. So with that said, it wasn't really the main point of this video, but again, I do just want to really address everything for this video. It's sort of like the happy birthday to this channel, also a Christmas thing, also a good times are coming sort of thing, also bad times are coming, I guess, also, but just trying to address everything. And since it's making up for the live or premiere sort of thing that I do the work with me, I figured it'd be a nice thing to really address everything with you guys. So with that said, back to what I was saying earlier about how I want this channel to be accessible for all the new people that I can have it be accessible for. I want to teach the shoestring budget, and that doesn't just apply to the new people. It applies to people that have been in the business for a lot longer as well, because there's always a lesson to be learned about the beginnings of things. So that's just something that I would really want to learn and teach, sorry. And with that said, though, I don't want this channel to just be for the newcomers, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have put together that I'm releasing some pretty good content for people that have been doing this business for a little bit longer as well. Especially, I am trying to corrupt as many people as I can that do Amazon FBA and stuff like that, that sell newer books. I want to corrupt them to the older book side of things, because I want to see history get saved. Yes, I did destroy some books with Amazon FBA, which I'm still, guys, it's been a couple of years and I'm still a little bit sad about that. I mean, I'm just getting like flashbacks to the burning of the Library of Alexandria, guys. I'm just like, no, what have I done? But I want to help all these new books sellers, you know, like not new to the business, but like people that sell new books. I want to help all of them get into the antique book space, because there is a lot of profit to be had in that. In addition to that, I want to see history get saved as much as I can. There is so much money in antique books. I mean, guys, in addition to just being beautiful, there's history and there is money in these books. I think I threw out a rough number, but like $2,000 of books just right here on this little shelf. And technically, it is a little bit jaded of a example on how much those are worth, because sets of books, sometimes they're worth more, sometimes they're worth less. That set right there, the Great War set, it's similar to this set, but it's its own set. That one's only worth like $40 or $80, whereas this set here is worth like, I want to say $800 or something like that. So like, big difference between those books, even though they're made by the same publisher. Just because they have different content matter and that sort of stuff, they have just a totally different value, which I think is interesting. But because of that, like, some of the books are definitely worth a lot more than others. So honestly, if I actually packed this shelf out with the most valuable books I had, probably be able to do $10,000 worth at least. But with all of that said, I do want to corrupt as many people as I can, or save them, however you want to see it, to do antique books as well, because not only do I want to see the history saved, I want as many people as I can doing as well as they can, because at the end of the day, if I prosper and you prosper, that means the whole of society prospers. And honestly, that means if you have more money and I have more money, that means we can spend more money. And if we can spend more money, we can all have better lives. So that's sort of a Jewish mentality. I read a lot of rabbinical teachings, rabbinical as in being rabbi, but rabbi teachings, you know. So I do like studying all that sort of stuff, all the old knowledge, all the wisdom sort of things. And one of the lessons that Jewish thought sort of has is, if you build up and I build up and we all do better together, that means the whole of society does better together. So that's something that I'm personally into. So if you guys ever wonder, oh, what's Caleb's reason for doing this business? Yes, it is so I can make some money, because those YouTube ads just pay so much. They don't, guys. But and I'm saying that from someone that doesn't make the ad money just yet. So technically, this entire year has been free. Oof. But actually, you guys have bought a couple things off of the affiliate links down below. I think I've made $3, maybe $8. So actually, I haven't done this for free. I've made like $8 off this so far. So yeah, yay for me. But with all that said, though, guys, if you guys ever wonder, oh, what's Caleb's purpose for doing this business? What's his ulterior motive? My ulterior motive, yes, I am here to make some money, hopefully soon. I put in over a year of work and have like $8 to show for it, so clearly that's not the only thing driving me. Long term, I hope to make some good money off this channel, though. I'm not ever going to go crazy on the ads, though, guys. I promise. I hate when people go crazy on ads. There are some YouTube channels, guys, that you just watch like 5 minutes and you get an ad and you're like, how does how does YouTube even allow this many ads? This is nuts. But with that said, I'm not just here for the money, guys. Like, yes, that is a point of me being here. The entire point of capitalism is for the amount of value that you provide for people, they will provide you value back. So for you guys, that value you provide me in return would be like you buying those affiliate link things. Don't do it if you don't want to. You guys don't have to buy stuff on it. That's just me saying in general. But it's you guys buying those things, but it's also you watching the ads, because that's how I would get money. I don't have ads yet, so just a rough example. But that is part of the value that you guys would do in return for me. But that's not the only reason why I'm doing this business. I'm not just doing it to get some money on these things. In fact, one of the reasons why I am not linking my eBay business to this channel is because I want the air gap, because I don't want to like artificially capitalize on you guys. I don't want to be like, hey, here's this book I have. It's $500. Buy it today. I don't want to do something like that. In fact, I'm not charging for a course, all that sort of stuff. Money is not the main reason why I'm doing this business. It's not the reason why I'm doing this channel. Money is a big reason why I'm doing the book business, but not the channel, you guys know. But I am not running this channel just to make money. I'm running this channel to help other people make money, because that is something that I am personally very interested in. I want to see other people succeed in life. I want to see people be able to sustain themselves, all that sort of stuff. That is a driving passion for me. I know it sounds a little bit weird, a little altruistic to do, but yeah, I am getting paid along the way, so it's not just altruism. But again, as I said earlier, if you guys do better, that means antique books are more known in general, which means if more people know that they're out there, if more people know that they can have them, that means more people are spending money on them, which means that business goes up, that market goes up. And for me, what gets caught up alongside that is my channel, which will get more views, and with you guys commenting, subscribing, all that sort of stuff, that helps me eventually monetize this channel, so that helps me on that side of things. And in addition to that, as the entire antique book business gets lifted up, all the sales that I have on my eBay store also get lifted up. So this is not just an altruistic thing. Yes, a lot of it is altruism. I put in quite a lot more time than most people probably would for something that's paid $8 over a whole year, but this is basically just something that I am doing as a very, 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 very long-term sort of play to hopefully save as many antique books as I can, because in addition to wanting to see other people make money, I want to see more antique books saved. That is a passion of mine as well. Seeing antique books get thrown in the dumpster really hurts. In fact, even going to Goodwill, the bins, and seeing antique books cast among all the swine, I got my little pearls among the swine, all the other lame books that they have piled in there and ripped apart. Seeing an antique book in that's like worth a ton, it hurts, honestly, guys, to see. Like, yes, I'm excited to buy that same book for like $2.29, but it really hurts to see it like folded open, have a few folded pages, a cover ripped off. It's like, oh, this is not right. This book should not be here. Who did this? For me, there is also the pain of seeing stuff like that happen, because again, I love history, and seeing stuff like that happen, it just hurts like everything. It's like, oh, you stabbed me. I feel like Caesar got stabbed in the back a few times here. So that's another reason why I'm doing this channel, though, guys, is to sort of see as many books as I can get saved. And in addition to that, besides all of that, I guess, I am a rampant hardcore capitalist. So when other people succeed, when other people make money, when people learn how to start their own businesses, it really helps reinforce capitalism, not the crony capitalism trash that we have going on right now, where politicians can be bought and sold, and it's rough, and everyone's corrupt, and we need to Article 5 the life out of the government right now. Oy. Yeah, I probably will have the FBI come after me for that one, but whatever. I said something that's constitutionally allowed, but that's what we have right now, because everyone's been corrupted, because when you debauch your currency, you start having corruption seep in a whole lot more. And we went off of the actual currency money that we were supposed to have in the Constitution of gold and silver is money, no paper currency, because the founding fathers saw that paper currency can ruin a country, and it did, and it is again. But in addition to that, I'm sort of trying to really reinvigorate people's capitalism as best as I can. With this channel, I want to teach them how easy it is to start their own business, how they can provide value for people and get some good money for the value that they provide. So for me, I'm showing you guys that these antique books can make you good money. With those books with your first sales. Once you start doing your business, you will eventually start your own business. You'll hire some people. You'll do this, and society at large gets better, not only because everyone's making more money, but because everyone's sort of relearning the roots of capitalism. We're not all just working for McDonald's, we're working for ourselves, and that is one of the roots, one of the main cornerstones of capitalism, and that's sort of the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And under today's trashy corruption, it's a little bit harder to do. Still possible, but a little bit harder to do. And I really would love to see something like my channel be able to sort of help bring everything back to the way it was supposed to be. And yeah, I know that's a pretty lofty goal for just a YouTube channel, but that goal sort of was hijacked from another YouTube channel called Valuetainment. If you guys haven't followed that channel just yet, I highly recommend you guys follow a channel called Valuetainment. That is from a guy called Patrick Bet David. And if you hear Bet David and you think that's a little bit weird of a last name, it's because the guy is not not your normal white American, if you want to say it that way. This guy is a first-generation guy from Iran. He was basically chased out of there due to religious persecution, and plus Iran was a cesspool back then. It was very bad, lots of bloodshed, all that sort of stuff. Now America's turning into a cesspool, but that's besides the point. But that guy, one of his goals is to teach capitalism, teach you how to do all these different things so America can be better and so capitalism can be reinvigorated, because capitalism at its purest level, it's not purely a monetary trade sort of thing. It's not just an economic sort of thing. It's actually a humanitarian cause. If you guys read the original books on capitalism, which the founding fathers actually read and based a lot of America off of, you see that it's one of the best things that has ever happened for humanity. It was made basically to raise the entirety of humanity out from poverty, and since capitalism has been brought in a big way, it has raised, I want to say, like 80 or 90% of the world population, not just American population, the world population, out of poverty, just capitalism on its own, because of how good of a system it is. So with that said, yes, I did hijack that sort of goal with my business, of wanting to show you guys how to do it to help save capitalism from Valuetainment. I did hijack that, so that did happen, but I am giving credit where it's due. But with that said, this is just a small part of what I could see sort of helping out in the long run. Of course, there are all the other businesses that I'm working on. Quite a few of them I hope will have very large impact. This business, guys, the YouTube channel, all that sort of stuff, the impact I can imagine is about yay big, but the other things I do imagine having a lot bigger impact in the longer term. You probably will learn my name sometime in the future from me doing those other things, because again, those projects are a lot bigger. I have met with some very, very, very important people, but that's probably a thing for another time, because you guys don't need to know everything just yet. There are secrets. Shh. Plus, just fun surprises. It's more fun to learn that you might be talking to the next millionaire president. I don't know. I'm just making something up. But with that said, though, guys, this business, it's not just for the money. It's for you guys, honestly. So with all that said, I hope this wasn't too much of a rambly, ranty sort of video. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't make it this far because it was a little bit rambly, ranty. But at the end of the day, there was just so many things that I wanted to address. I've already done a video on what I am hoping to do in the year to come, so I won't really go into that too much more in this video. In fact, this video is basically over now. Oops, you guys just all clicked off. Why'd you click off? I'm kidding. But this video, guys, I do hope that it did address a lot of the different thoughts that you guys might have. And again, there are quite a few questions that I know you guys have. I have a pile of sticky notes here of different video ideas that I had before I got into this. I've been planning this channel out for, I want to say, like 4 years or something like that. So yes, I know you guys have questions. I have most of them already written down. Some of them are new questions that I didn't think about, so those have been added, but there are some things definitely that I will be addressing. I have quite a few videos that I've already filmed that are slowly being released. Most of the videos that release on Tuesday have previously been recorded. Of course, that's not always the case. Sometimes I do slip in a newer one, but that's not always what happens. Usually the Thursday ones are recorded day of, though, which is a little bit annoying, but definitely is also nice. So with all that said and done, though, guys, thank you for watching. I know this is a long video, but I hope it was very beneficial. If you guys want to support me in my mission, be sure to subscribe. I got to hit 1,000 subscribers to get monetized, which will definitely help me continue doing this. Be sure to check out one of my other videos, because watch hours helps the channel as well. So with all that said and done, though, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.